Good morning, everybody. Everyone get some rest last night? Good. So you won't be getting rest during my class this morning, right? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Vishnupad Paramahams Purivajaka Ashtotra Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatchi Deshatharane. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So based on the discussion that we had last night, Anantarupa Prabhu suggested that I just continue with the discussion about the things Krishna and Balaram learned at the Gurukula. So we'll continue that theme, although we're going to jump to the end of their learning and see what they did then. And so for that, we have 10th Canto, chapter 45. The text is 37. Is there any way to project that, or how are we doing?
We have everything else.
That's okay. Well, I'll just chant it. Right. Okay. Can you hand me that briefcase there I got? No, it's down, the next one down, behind you. That one. Okay. Thank you. So text number 37, chapter 45, text number 37. Dvijastayostam mahimanam abhutam. Samlaksharajan atimanushim matim. Samantraya patnya samahinavri mahanave mritum. Balam prabhase varajam babu baha. So those of you that have it, wanna?
Dvijastayostam mahimanam adbhutam.
Dvijastayostam mahimanam abhutam.
Samlokshya rajan ati manushim matim.
Samlokshya rajan.
Samantya patnya samaharnave mritam. Balam pravase varayam babu vaha.
Malas pravase vararam babu vaha.
Dvijastayostam mahimanam adbhutam.
Dvijastayostam mahimanam uttam. Samlaksham rajan atimanushim matim.
Samantya patnya samaharnave mritam.
Samantya patnya samarnave mritum. Balam prabhase varayam babuvaha.
Dvijastayostam mahimam adbhutam.
Divastayostam mahimanam adbhutam. Samlaksharajan atimanushim matim. Samantya patnya samahanave mritam. Balam prabhase varayam babuvaha. Dvija, the learned Brahmana, Tayo, of the two of them, tam, that, mahimanam, greatness, adbhutam, amazing, samlakshya, observing well, rajan, O king, atimanushim, beyond human capacity, matim, intelligence, samantya, after consulting, patnya, with his wife, saha, he, maha anavarne, in the great ocean, mritam, who had died, balam, his child, prabhase, at the holy place, prabhasa, varayam, bhuvaha, he chose. Translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. O king, the learned Brahmin Sandipani carefully considered the two lords' glorious and amazing qualities and their superhuman intelligence. Then, after consulting with his wife, he chose as his remuneration the return of his young son who had died in the ocean at Prabhasa. Purport: according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the child was captured by the conch shell demon while playing at the Mahashiva Kshetra. And in addition to that, short purport, I have what Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book about this. Lord Krishna and Balaram, the reservoir of all knowledge, exhibited their perfect understanding of all the arts and sciences mentioned above. And then they offered to serve their teacher by awarding him anything he desired. That's what is being contemplated by Sandipani Muni in the verse we just read today, that they had offered to award him anything he desired. This offering by the student to the teacher or spiritual master is called Guru Dakshina. It is essential that a student satisfy the teacher in return for any learning received, either material or spiritual. When Krishna and Balaram offered their service in this way, the teacher, Sandipani Muni, thought it wise to ask them for something extraordinary, something no common student could offer. He therefore consulted with his wife about what to ask for from them. He and his wife had already seen the extraordinary potencies of Krishna and Balaram and could understand that the two boys were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They decided to ask for the return of their son, who had drowned in the ocean near the shore at Prabhas Kshetra. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So last night we were talking about the guru-disciple relationship, but we're focusing mainly on the disciple. What kind of student outcome that is desirable, both for the student and for the world. So this morning, I'd like to focus on the other side of that equation, the guru. What can the guru expect in terms of relationship with the student? And I turn to this subject because essentially all of you are gurus. You're accepting the service of instructing and guiding others. That's a guru. You may not be Diksha Guru, but there are many different types of gurus. I happen to live across the street from my Vartma Pradakshina guru. Her name is Ragatmika Devi Dasi. I met her in Port Authority in New York City, and she gave me the books of Srila Prabhupada and put me on the path. And all these years later, I still have the opportunity to render some service to her by giving her a ride to the temple every now and then or something like that. Or trying to help her in any way I can. I take her, she's my guru. So all of us have a role of a guru. And so what can we expect from our students? Or what should our students, how should they reciprocate with us? So this is what's being explained in the verse today. Guru Dakshina. I hate to tell another personal story, but I'll tell the personal story. At the time when I got initiated by Srila Prabhupada, it was by letter. And so I wasn't there and I couldn't do what you see. What happens in initiations a lot these days, the disciples, they go around begging right there and they collect and they give to the guru. Of course, Srila Prabhupada initiated me by letter, so I wasn't there. So my whole life in Krishna consciousness, I've been thinking, how am I going to pay back Srila Prabhupada? I didn't get a chance to give him dakshin there at the initiation time. But hopefully, by his grace, a lifetime trying to serve him it can't repay. That's the thing. It can't repay. But it can attempt. We can attempt to repay. We can attempt. And so, what I'd like to do is go over 4 particular qualities which the disciple exchanges with the guru as part of the Guru Dakshin relationship. 4 different things that illustrate that. And you may have other things that illustrate that, and please, your comments and contributions are welcome. This is by no means a exclusive listing of things. So each involves a little story that I'll tell. The first story is about Srila Prabhupada and Mukunda Goswami. At that point, he was Mukunda, and this is back in the beginnings. They have the thing here, appreciating the beginnings. Mukunda's name may be there somewhere, I'm not sure, but in the beginning, he was one of the ones that helped Srila Prabhupada quite significantly. And that help went on 66, 67, up until the time before Prabhupada went back to India because of his health. And so, as you know, Prabhupada got ill. I believe he had a heart attack. And he felt that he needed to return to India to regain his health. And so when news of this began to spread amongst the disciples, at that time just in New York and in San Francisco, when news of that began to circulate, the devotees began to have a lot of react. They were obviously disturbed, concerned, afraid, anxious. They didn't know quite how to deal with the situation. And so amongst some of the disciples, it started to circulate this idea that, and it was even voiced to him, it was even voiced to Srila Prabhupada, the idea that, well, if you don't come back, is there one of your godbrothers or someone who we can sort of replace you with, that can take your place? And as I said, this idea was even asked directly to Srila Prabhupada. And so Mukunda was with Prabhupada, and he was telling him this, or asking him this, is there someone else? And Prabhupada said 2 different things at this time. He said, in one instance, that no, if they say one word different than me, then you'll be confused. That was one thing. But in this particular instance that I'm relating today, Mukunda asked Prabhupada that, and Prabhupada was silent. He was silent for some time, and then he said, my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. And Mukunda Maharaj writes in his book that, and again, now he was there in 66, he was there in 67, this may even have been early 68 when Prabhupada was going back to India. So it had been some time that he had a guru. But he writes there that when Prabhupada said like that, in a choked voice that my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. Mukunda Maharaj says that that's the first time you actually realized what having a guru means. It's a very personal thing. And it's full of gratitude. So that's the first quality that's exchanged in Guru Dakshin between Guru and disciple. Gratitude that our Guru has actually saved us from hellish existence, saved us from the pleasures of the heavenly planets. He saved us from repeated birth and death in this material world. And He's given us, He's opened up the entire spiritual world to us eternally. And so gratitude is something that a guru should receive from his disciple. It's something that you, in your roles as gurus, should receive from those that you instruct, those that you sacrifice for. And Srila Prabhupada showed it by his own personal example. So the next thing that a guru can expect in terms of Guru Dakshin from a Guru Dakshin attitude from the disciple is service. And this is exemplified by Prahlad Maharaj. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam it's described. There, Lord Nrsingadev has appeared from the pillar to save Prahlad Maharaj from the hands of Hiranyakasipu, to kill Hiranyakasipu. And he came out in the Ugra Nrsinga form. You know the Mayapur Nrsingadev, Ugra Nrsinga. That's, I've heard, supposed to be right when he comes out of the pillar. That's how he looks. And so he came out like that. He killed Hiranyakasipu, and he is very angry. And so Lord Brahma and all the demigods, even Lakshmi Devi, they tried to pacify him, but no one could pacify him. So then Lord Brahma said, "You go, Prahlad, you go." So he pushed Prahlad Maharaj forward, and Prahlad gave these beautiful prayers of pacifying Lord Nrsingadev. Now, I also have a phone here, and I looked this up on my phone this morning. I'll see if it's still there. The verse he spoke, which represents his attitude of service to his guru. I found it here. So it exemplifies his service attitude, but it follows on the gratitude that we just discussed. It follows on that same kind of thing. He says, "My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve the transcendental position." And this is a key sentence. "Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service?" So, gratitude, which we could see as we could accept as just as a sentiment, there has to be more than just gratitude. There has to be service. Some change in one's life, some change in one's daily activities to include service to your guru. Now that may be different according to our different capabilities and our different situations in life, but the attitude and some endeavor in that regard should be made. And so this was Prahlad Maharaj's attitude. Such a great devotee. And we should take it from him that such service is something that should never be given up. Actually, that comes up sometimes in our current day ISKCON, that people think, well, I can go to another one. I can give up my service to Prabhupada, to ISKCON. After all, I have to go and get the knowledge. But in my understanding, experience, and I'm not saying that that's topmost or whatever, it's meager at best, but as far as Srila Prabhupada goes, I think that we could be safe to say that I could never give up his service, and we'd be situated properly. So gratitude service. Next, sacrifice. Are you familiar with the story of Upamanyu and Dromya, which is related in Mahabharata? Anybody? You're familiar with that? Well, then maybe if I've missed some of the details, you can help me with them. Upamanyu. Upamanyu was a simple man, disciple of Acharya Dromya, and his guru gave him various services to do. For instance, he asked him to tend the fields, agricultural fields. And so Upamanyu would do that service. But the guru noted something, that he was getting a little chubby. So he asked him, Upamanyu, I see you're getting a little chubby. What's going on? I mean, why are you becoming fat? You're supposed to be working in the fields. Oh, Guru Maharaj, I'm working there, but sometimes there's some grains left here or there, and so I take them, I eat them. Did I ask you to do that? Did I give you permission to do that? No, Guru Maharaj, you didn't give me permission. Why are you doing it then? Stop this immediately. Yes, Guru Maharaj. So then Upamanyu was given other services with the cows, milking the cows in the Goshala. But still Dromya noticed that he was putting on weight. And so he asked him again, Upamanyu, I still see you're putting on weight. Please tell me, what are you doing? Guru Maharaj, well, I'm taking care of the cows, but after the milking, there's still some a little left, so I'm taking that milk. Did anybody say you could do that? Did I tell you could do that? No, Guru Maharaj, stop it immediately then. Why are you doing that? You have no right. So he stopped. And then he was taking care of the cows, and the calves were drinking, and there was a little foam on the calves' mouth, and so he was taking that. And all the while the guru was noticing he's becoming fat, and he was chastising him, stop, why are you doing this? So it came to the point that Upamanyu was basically starving, because every time he tried to take a little something, his guru was telling him, I didn't give you permission. Why are you doing like that? So he became so desperate that one time he just started eating leaves. And he ate some leaves which caused him to go blind. And so he was out in the field, and one night he didn't come back. And so Sage Domya said, where's Upamanyu? So they all went out and looking for him, and he had fallen into a ditch. And so they were calling out, Upamanyu, Upamanyu, where are you? Guru Maharaj is looking for you. He said, I'm over here in this ditch. And so they went and they got him out, and they saw his condition. And this is the part where it may be a little hazy, so I might need some help on this. Domya said that, okay, you should go to the Aswini Kumaras, pray to the Aswini Kumaras. They'll give you something to relieve your blindness. So he did what his guru said. And then the Ashwini Kumaras came and they said, well, here, you take this herb and it'll relieve your blindness. And what did Upamanyu say? Anybody have an idea? For those that don't know the story, you know. Let's see if anybody can guess. Yes, that's what he said. No, I won't take it because I don't have permission from my guru to do that. But then the Ashwini Kumar said, oh, no, your guru was also in a similar situation before and he took this herb. So you can take it. He took it, you can take it. Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do anything without the permission of my guru. And so then he got the mercy of Domya. He got his sight back and he became fixed as a disciple. Fixed in sacrifice for the guru. This is we should always be ready to do that. And in my own service, I often come up with situations where I'm faced with having to go outside of my comfort zone. And I actually have a question about that. I mean, how much can we keep being pushed outside of our comfort zone before it becomes detrimental? But we have to sacrifice for the Guru. We have to sacrifice. And if we do, then we'll get his blessings. And of course, sacrifice for us is easy. The ISKCON movement is here, and there's so much need, so much opportunity for service. We should take advantage and be willing to sacrifice. Not just to engage in service, but actually sacrifice. And for me, at least for right now, it's this perplexing things about when your service pushes you outside of your comfort zone. How do you handle it? So, gratitude, service, sacrifice, and then finally, something on the other side, something that's sort of the antithesis of all these things. And it's exemplified by the story of Eklavya. You know the story of Eklavya, everyone? I mean, Eklavya, in some circles, is put forward as an example of someone who has sacrificed for their guru to the ultimate degree. Dronacharya asked him, "You're my disciple? Then cut off your thumb." And he gladly did that. And so some people say, oh, he's such a devoted disciple of his guru that he gave the dakshina of cutting off his thumb. And they put him forward as an example. But many years ago, I was reading in Back to Godhead magazine an article written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that was translated from Bengali into English by Bhakti Charu Swami. And it was explaining what is Eklavya's fault. Why is Eklavya not an example of Guru Dakshina? Well, as I say, you know the story. I'll just try to hit the significant parts. He had personal interest. That's the essence of it. Eklavya had personal interest. He wanted to be a great archer. But his personal interest was more than that. He wanted to be greater than the Vaishnava Arjuna as an archer. And so he was turned down by Dronacharya. Dronacharya told him he would not instruct him. Now, whether that was a test or whether it was because he was unqualified in other ways, that's not the issue. The issue is that his guru told him, no, I won't teach you. But he concocted his own way of worship by creating a murti of Dromya and worshiping that murti to get his lessons, his Shakti as an archer. I mean, if that wasn't bad enough, just in an unauthorized way, creating a murti of your guru and then worshiping that guru. But the worship was personally motivated. That has to be eradicated in our hearts. personal motivation, personal interest. Because if it's not, then it'll spoil all these other things. It'll spoil gratitude, service, and sacrifice. Who can say that Eklavya didn't sacrifice? He cut his thumb off. And he served. And to some degree, he was grateful when Dronacharya asked him, he accepted him as his guru when he came to see him in the forest. But they're all spoiled by personal interest. So we have to be very, very careful of that. That can't be part of the Guru Dakshina. No personal interest. Indeed, that's the purpose of giving Guru Dakshina, to basically say, I have no personal interest. So these things should be displayed by the disciple in relation to the Guru. And Krishna and Balaram exemplified that by immediately, after receiving instruction, taking risk, whatever risks they had to take, to return the dead son of Sandipani Muni as an offering to him. That completes this guru-disciple relationship. So students have a responsibility. Gurus also have a responsibility. It's a relationship. One that we can take one lifetime or many lifetimes to cultivate. And the thing about it is, it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as time goes on. So, any reflections or comments about these subjects? Yes, Uttama.
An interesting point to your question about how much can you push yourself beyond your comfort level before it becomes detrimental. Where do you conclude? Or what, maybe what your final thoughts.
Well, quite honestly, I haven't concluded it. It's an active question in my mind, and service that I'm involved with sort of tests it every day, and so. Well, it's turning out to be more than 1 year. I don't know. Maybe anybody have any? So, do you have some suggestion?
Prayer, honest about your own limits.
In part.
I think what I'm hearing from you, it's almost like you learn to balance.
Balance.
Some people ask that question, well, how do you balance everything? And my response to that is, it's like you can't really write a manual how to ride a bicycle. You know where you want to go and get on, you start pedaling, and you're going this way and that. But eventually you learn to balance. I think it's like that in life. You have to learn to balance, like see what's working and what's not working, and just constantly make those adjustments. It's an ongoing balancing act. It's never going to stop.
Wow, that's frightening. All right, Vilas, you having some thoughts on?
I wanted to talk about Dronacharya.
Oh, okay. Any on this before we go to Dronacharya? You have on this, Gopagita?
Deals with that, because I think in ISKCON in general, and specifically because Srila Prabhupada established the movement in 14 years, and so because of that, we were raised with this idea that devotional service is not devotional service if you're in a comfort zone. Like you have to be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Do everything you need to do, even if you're not trained for it. Learn it quickly. But for my very limited understanding or experience in this is that when ultimately you just really hold your hands up and you just say, Krishna, I don't really know what I'm doing, but you placed me in this situation. At a certain point, there's this feeling where he's just carrying you, and he's just starting to put into place. When you get to that point where you're out of your comfort zone, he starts just putting things in front of you where you're just following.
Hmm. No resistance on your part, just surrender. Well, that's admirable. I find resistance, and I guess that's why I'm talking about it.
It's difficult. It's not like I'm there yet, but those few moments that have been, we've been able to, that's been somewhat of our experience.
Okay, thank you. Hari, will you have something on this point?
Just to build up on what she was saying, what has kept me going when that happens is that Krishna never gives you a test that you cannot fail.
Hmm.
But the other side I was going to say is that I'm finding more and more temple presence when I ask other devotees to do things. That spirit is not there. If I go out to my own self, I'm not going to do it. My question is how you inculcate in education, that spirit that devotees had in the 70s and 60s is not there.
Hmm.
That you don't have those gurus like that, like Prabhupada was able to do that, or Kali is advancing, or why is that
Hmm.
I mean, they're individual devotees, but as such, is not permeated
Well, I think there's something what Gopi Gita said, something to what Gopi Gita said, that there was an emergency mode there, and so people were asked to go beyond their comfort level as a routine. But wartime emergency doesn't last all the time. There's regulated life that's outside of the wartime mode. But that has a danger because, and this gets to, maybe I am balancing it, because what's on the other side is complacency. And you don't feel any kind of urgency. Last night I was talking about this revolutionary spirit trying to get some urgency in our thinking about education. But, I mean, how much can you beat the horse? I mean, how much allowance is there? Hari Vilas.
I was there in 1969, and at that time, Prabhupada would give specific instructions to devotees who were willing to go outside of their comfort zone. And none of us were really qualified to do anything spectacular. But because Prabhupada wanted it, people who took it seriously would try. Mysteriously, Krishna arranged things. I mean, I can tell you a lot of stories that I don't go into again, but just suffice it to say, as Mataji mentioned, that Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tama, people knowledge which come to me. He will arrange mysteriously so you can accomplish the task of spiritual mastery. As long as there's no personal motive. Even one personal motive corrupts every other decision-making in life. But if there's no personal motive, you simply want to please the spiritual master, then it's unlimited. And this is explained in the first chapter, 32nd, 35th verse in the purport. Arjuna addresses Krishna as Govinda, but his understanding of the word Govinda is that Govinda is meant to please his sense of meaning, Arjuna's sense. Prabhupada explains in the purport, but that's not the meaning of Govinda. Govinda is the object of pleasure. It's not the supplier of sense gratification. So when we change our motive from working to please our own senses and wanting God to be participating in that, to we only want to use our senses more says if you want something from the Lord for your personal benefit, you will only get what you deserve by your previous karma.
Hmm.
If you want only to please the Lord, it's unlimited what you can receive.
Hmm.
It's a subtle difference. And everything depends on the personal motive.
Hmm.
So, Sukracharya had a personal motive. He's concerned about his monthly allowance. Even though he knew what the truth was, even though he could recognize God, Krishna, in his dwarf form, where other people were not able to recognize him, he was able to recognize him. But he told the Bali Maharaj, don't give him anything. That's Krishna. But Bali Maharaj had a disconnect. He couldn't accept his guru's instruction because his guru was violating the Shastric evidence that he taught. He was violating his own instructions. So Bali Maharaj refused. He completely surrendered to the world. And then he received greater benediction than being the master of the whole world. At that time, he was the master of the whole universe. He had defeated demons and defeated demigods. But he received a greater benediction than that, beginning his recognition of the world.
Hmm.
There's no limit as soon as we give up personal motive.
Hmm.
If we have a personal motive, we're a limit. We can only get what we deserve.
Hmm. So personal motive happens on both sides. Guru could have personal motive, disciple can have personal motive.
One motive is enough to corrupt every decision of a person.
Hmm. Okay, we do want to get to Dronacharya too, because you wanted to talk to him. Let me just go with Gopi.
I don't know if this is in relation to this, but I had that question when you were giving the class about personal motive and what your experience is and what the assembled devotees' experience is in a practical manner of getting rid of most personal motive. Because we also hear that each devotee needs to be engaged according to their psychophysical nature, according to what their personal likes, dislikes, tendencies are. And so it's like a complete paradigm shift for those of us who chose to become in this material world. What are practical steps that can be taken to get rid of my own personal motive and those that I'm working with and my students? And how do you of course, there's a hearing initiative process. Is that the only process, or is there more than that?
Well, what comes to my mind, first of all, would be association. And this is one of the things that I think we're experiencing right here, right now. Hari Vilas joined in 1969, as he said, and the rest of us since then. And we're all sitting together in one place and we're discussing these things. And we have the advantage of people that have experience all those years. If you add up the number of years each individual of us put in, we'd be talking thousands of years worth of experience. And so that is going to help guide us to deal with questions like that you've just posed, as well as this question about going outside of our comfort limits. What are your experiences? What are the experiences of all the devotees over the years that I've had? And how can that help me in my situation? How can that guide me? I think we all need each other in this way to answer these questions. And as Prabhu said, it's an ongoing process. That's part of our process, Krishna consciousness. But let's hear about Dronacharya from Hari Vilas Prabhu.
Another major fault of the lot was that by becoming a greater archer than Arjuna, he turned Dronacharya into a liar. Dronacharya promised Arjuna to be the greatest archer in the world. So Arjuna discovered this dog in the forest that had arrows in its mouth. With such precise geometrical, let's say, way, he realized that there was a greater archer than himself. And he came and discussed this with Dronacharya, and Dronacharya realized there was something wrong. Because he didn't teach anyone else. He only taught Arjuna and his other students. So at that time, they brought Eklavya in front of him. Dronacharya was upset that he would worship him in secret. It's sort of like, I'll make a bad comparison, it's like the Ritviks. They turned Prabhupada into Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is eternally suffering on the cross for the sin of Christians. And Prabhupada specifically said, no, we should not do this to the Guru. And that's why there's Guru Parampara. Parampara means that the next generation accepts the sins of the disciples. You should never transfer that to the previous Guru. But that is your service. In other words, when you become a Guru, the only perk you get, the only benefit you get, is to accept the sins of the disciples. You don't have a right to any other benefit other than respect. So Dronacharya was going to be a liar. Therefore, he asked him to cut his thumb off so he could never be a better archer. And he gave it right away. The Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says he gave it right away, not because he was a good guy, but he was thinking that he would become very famous. Such a sacrifice. Now, I mean, I used to believe that Eklavya, there was something wrong with Arjuna, and Eklavya was really a great person in Arjuna was that sacrifice. I was shocked when I read that explanation about this. So none of us actually can understand the Shastra without the help of bona fide people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's 8:30. I guess we can go to the next program. Thank you very much. Kantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Learned the Vedas from Surya, you know? And Surya, he asked him, Hanuman asked Surya, what do you want for Dakshina, right? And Surya said, I'm satisfied just to see you've learned everything. And Hanuman said, no, come on, they asked him that. He said, well, I got a son down there, right? Sugriva. He's really not, competent to deal with his brother Bali, so if you can go and help him. That was it. He says, yeah. I'm happy just to see somebody who learned what I taught. Yeah. That's good satisfaction, isn't it? Nityananda, I texted Nityananda, when can we talk? Because you can't talk to him. Right? His phone says, please text me. If you dial his phone,
Oh, really?
it says, please text me.